Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and this is the channel where I went to business school so you didn't need to, and today we are talking about Lucid's LCID stock price, where it could be headed in the future, what news updates we could anticipate from their upcoming earnings report, which will be regarding their fourth quarter earnings report on February 22nd, and then lastly we will discuss why an institution such as BlackRock, which is a heavy investor in the most innovative companies, is betting heavily on Lucid stock. So for more videos just like this one on more Lucid stock videos, remember to go and annihilate that like button, subscribe if you are new, comment down below your thoughts about Lucid Group in general, what you think of Lucid stock, where you think their price is headed in the future, and if you think their upcoming earnings report will be positive or negative. And without further ado, I say let's just jump right into today's stories. Right now, the LCID share price trades for $10.93, and if you're not familiar with this company, this is a rapidly growing electric vehicle company. And although it's only trading at around $11, we can see that some experts and professionals are very bullish on this company. Right now, 5 analysts were recently surveyed, where none of these analysts said to buy the company. 4 of them say to hold the company, and 1 of them says to sell the company. But let's see how accurate these ratings actually are. When we look at specific institutions that have prestigious analysts, such as Citigroup, they give the LCID share price a $12 stock price target, while an analyst from Bank of America actually gives them a price prediction of $21. As of right now, the current LCID share price has substantial upside according to most professionals that weren't surveyed on this particular list, because when factoring in their overall growth rate, according to the majority of professionals, the company should be worth around $14 by the end of the year. But there are also more negative analysts, particularly that one analyst who says to sell the company, that believes the share price could fall as low as $5, but Bank of America seems very positive on this overall company, to where they give this company a $21 price prediction. Keep this information in the back of your head as we go over the next 2 articles, especially after we project the future share price after their quarter 4 earnings report. So Lucid, if you didn't know, has an upcoming earnings report on February 22nd, and many of their investors are looking forward to this report because they believe it could send the share price absolutely skyrocketing temporarily after their earnings report. So clearly they are looking forward to very positive results in both their earnings per share as well as their revenue. As of right now, Lucid as an electric vehicle manufacturer is not a profitable company, which is one of its largest risks for investors. That's why right now the company is mainly focusing on ramping up their overall production and delivery numbers. The more vehicles they can produce means the more vehicles they could potentially deliver. However, Lucid will have to grow their business substantially before it actually becomes profitable. For instance, in the third quarter, Lucid Group managed to produce around 2,280 vehicles. And that represents the best output that the company has ever had in terms of their ability to make these vehicles. So the company is still trying to ramp up their overall production and delivery numbers, which means that the company will have many record-breaking quarters as this company continuously increases their production capacity. And that is going to reflect positively on the overall share price. Now, when we look over at Lucid's overall deliveries, it's a different story, because for the same quarter, in quarter 3, Lucid delivered around 1,400 vehicles to customers. That means they are producing more vehicles than they are selling, which is not a very positive bullish sign. But we do need to weigh this with the overall positive aspect, because for the year of 2022, Lucid's management projected that they would produce between 6,000 and 7,000 vehicles. And since the upcoming earnings report will be analyzing not only the full year but also quarter 4, it's anticipated that the quarter 4 production capacity was significantly higher than quarter 3's, meaning that they could easily fall somewhere in between that 6,000 to 7,000 range that was given to us by management, thus reflecting that management is keeping their overall promises to investors. More good news is that professionals are predicting that Lucid Group will most likely post sales of around $274 million for the fourth quarter, which would equate to a 41% increase compared to the third quarter. Again, this is very positive news, which could increase the overall share price by invigorating investors. This would show that the company is aggressively increasing their overall revenue output, which potentially could lead them to profitability further down the road. Now, the thing that hurts this company is that the institution only sells one model of electric vehicle right now, which would be their Lucid Air model, which does come in different subtypes such as the Lucid Air Dream and the Lucid Air Grand Touring trim and so on. But the real kicker is that Lucid Group is not profitable. That's why I personally only have around a 1% allocation to this company, because I don't anticipate that this company will pay off until after the year of 2025. And I will discuss why that is in just a moment, but let's focus on their lack of profitability. According to current forecasts, it's not likely that Lucid Group will achieve profitability over the next few years. However, this doesn't mean that the share price couldn't increase during that time period, and here's why. Because even if Lucid generates net losses and they aren't profitable, there can still be positivity in their overall deliveries, production, revenue growth, and Lucid improving their margins. One example of something that would benefit their share price is if Lucid's gross margin ends up improving, which I think it will. Essentially, that would indicate that Lucid is making progress in ramping up its overall production capacity, which would bring their expenses down due to what's known as economies of scale. Essentially, the more of something that you produce, the cost of you producing each thing individually will inevitably reach a lower cost basis. Another good thing that could happen is if they are lowering their overall operating expenses while they are increasing revenue. Because if their operating expenses, such as for administration and sales, are growing slower than Lucid's overall revenue, that is going to be a very positive sign, which shows investors that yes, this company is on the right trajectory to eventually achieving a profitability. I also want to make investors aware of this company's balance sheet and their cash burn. And this is a double-edged sword because some investors look at this as a very positive thing, while myself, I would actually view this more as a negative, and here's what I mean by that. If we look at Lucid Group's balance sheet, we can tell how much cash and or cash equivalents that the company has on their balance sheet. Essentially, we want to know how much discretionary income or liquidity this company could use in case something goes wrong, or at least how much runway does this company have before they go out of business, if that's even an option. At the end of quarter 3, the company had a cash position of around $1.26 billion. On top of that, the company also had around $2.08 billion worth of short-term investments that could easily be liquidated, thus turning it into cash. So in total, their short-term liquidity would be around $3.3 billion, which is a lot of money. This is very positive news. But here comes the bad news. For instance, during the first 3 quarters of 2022, Lucid actually burned through around $2.4 billion. The reason why that's very bad is because if Lucid doesn't find a new way to raise money, that means that eventually their cash burn will overtake the amount that they have on their balance sheet. As of right now, it looks like Lucid only has 1 year left until this company will be forced either to take on major debt or dilute shareholders, which would be very bad, which means each individual shareholder would lose value in their company. That's why this author projects that investors can expect further dilution in the coming quarters and the coming years until this company becomes self-sustaining, ergo, after they become profitable. That's why some investors believe that buying into this company right now is not the best move. Waiting over the next few years may give you an opportunity to buy this company at a cheaper price, and it also puts them closer to their profitability projections. That's why I currently have only nibbled at this particular company, but other investors on the other side believe that Lucid Group will end up exploding in their overall ability to manufacture their vehicles, and that would reflect in their ability to sell vehicles. While they sell vehicles, it will increase their overall revenue, catapulting them closer to profitability, and this will also lower their overall cash burn as they take advantage of economies of scale. So there are 2 different ways to look at this company, but I think over the long term, both of these could be positive. That's why right now I am only taking a very small position, and I will increase my overall position between 3 to 5% once this company becomes profitable, because by then the company would have proven itself. With that being said, I also want to make you aware of an upcoming catalyst for this company. company. And that catalyst would be how Lucid is planning to release their next model. Remember earlier we said they only have one vehicle model, which would be their Lucid Air, even though that particular model has multiple trims underneath it. That means their revenues are not very diversified, but with the addition of the new Lucid Gravity SUV, this could not only diversify their overall revenue streams, but also help them enter a different market, thus leading to more revenue. According to current forecasts, Lucid's management plans to open reservations for the Gravity SUV in the next couple of weeks to months, and hopefully we're going to get some great news on this in their upcoming earnings report, which will be on February 22nd. Now, if you're watching this video after the earnings report, this would also ring true for that the company still has upcoming catalysts in the future. So the main problem with this company is that they're not profitable and that they are burning money very quickly. They also need to increase their overall production capacity so they can sell more vehicles. But it doesn't look like Lucid is having a hard time keeping up with overall demand, which is also another negative because it looks like demand for these high-end vehicles is not very prevalent. However, maybe as they increase their overall sales and marketing, this will lead to people buying more of their overall vehicles. That's why the author of this article says that he believes that Lucid is a rather risky investment at current prices and at the current time, and I actually agree with him. Yes, this company is very risky. They haven't necessarily proven their overall business model because they're not a profitable company, but the future does look bright for this company. That's why you would want to enter this company as low as possible in your overall cost basis, because as time goes on, you need that price to be low so you can make profits sooner rather than later. Considering all the information we already went over, why is a heavy hitter like BlackRock betting big on Lucid Motors and investing heavily into Lucid stock? Well, let's dive right into it. BlackRock is also very bullish, considering that they currently hold around 31.45 million shares of the LCID stock. And that's a lot of shares and a lot of money. However, what investors don't know is that BlackRock owns thousands of different stocks and companies. Lucid would be their 1,487th largest holding, which means it doesn't make up a significant part of their portfolio. And to frame this, Lucid only makes up 0.01% of BlackRock's overall portfolio allocation. And people give me a hard time with not wanting to go above a 5% allocation for certain risky growth companies, but BlackRock literally doesn't have more than a 0.01% portfolio allocation. Now, with that being said, there are other companies and institutions that own Lucid Group, which would include Vanguard, Two Sigma, as well as Geode Capital Management. But the thing I find most interesting is that the billionaire George Soros recently disclosed that he's selling his put options against Lucid Group. And that means he anticipates at least that the upcoming earnings report could act as a positive catalyst, causing their overall share price to increase. However, here's a word to the wise. Even if they do have a positive earnings beat or a revenue beat, their share price could increase temporarily, but it will pull back and fall back down. Right now, the LCID share price is over elevated due to the recent rumors and their upcoming earnings report, but I anticipate in the short term, the share price will fall back down, probably to around $7 to $9, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Overall, I am very bullish about the future of this company, but I am not willing to over allocate myself to this company right now, which is why I still only have a 1% allocation, which I will then increase after the company becomes profitable and after they prove themselves, because that's just the proper way to invest into these types of companies, because we need to take risk management into consideration. But I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Remember to go and annihilate that like button right now. Comment your thoughts about where you think the future LCID share price is headed, and if you think their earnings report will be positive or negative. Subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next YT video.